Hello guys, we are into the 15th session of our discussion, and today's topic will be about designing data collection tools. The information which are collected with the data collection tools, it falls under several headings, and the main three headings are facts, knowledge and judgment. The facts, it includes which you cannot change, that is the individual characteristics, environment and behavioral practices. So that this kind of flowchart will be easy to keep in hand tricks to verify whether you have collected everything. See, in the individual characteristics, we have the age, height, clinical history. Environment includes housing, family size. Behavioral practices includes the alcohol use, drug prescription, etc. The knowledge includes the risk factors in healthy lifestyles like mosquito breeding, unsafe sex, diet, exercise and all. And judgment is the opinion or the attitude of the people, that is the quality of health services, wearing seat belt, open defecation, etc. The different tools of data collection include the abstraction form, which includes review of records like personal records, clinical records, surveillance records and registers. The structured observation guide, it includes the checklist of items, that is the text and figures, and questionnaire, which is including the interviewer administered, that is the face-to-face, telephone and computer assisted, and self-administered, which includes the paper-based and computer assisted. The key elements of the data collection tools are clarity, balance, length, comprehensive, constraints, utility, order and context. The four components of the data collection tool, it includes the introduction and conclusion, the identifiers, body of instrument and the instructions for data collectors. This, if you have in your hand, you can check it. It's as a checklist. For example, in the introduction and conclusion, you'll be covering about the presentation, objectives, elements of the informed consent and the concluding statements. The identifiers include the exact identifiers, that is a name, address and any ID number and all. And the instructions for the data collectors include the instructions, the skip patterns, the use of different fonts. And the body of instrument includes the open items or closed items or semi-open items. Open questions include the answers are not suggested. The person who's answering can tell whatever they feel like telling. That is, the respondents must generate an answer. Advantage is that it gives freedom for response, stimulates memory, can be useful to generate closed responses later, and it is useful at a hypothesis raising stage. It is disadvantage is that it is difficult to code and analyze and may be incomplete or not focused. Open questions with closed ends is that no option of answer is suggested, but you have yes or no options among the options. So however, among the answers, the interviewer will have to tick those spontaneously specified, and it expresses it, and it is asked as an open question but analyzed as a closed question. Dichotomous answers the questions are like yes or no answers. Its advantage is that it forces a clear option, and inconvenient because it oversimplifies an issue. Multiple options, as the name indicates, it has multiple options for the answerer. And quantitative answer is that the respondent must provide a quantified answer. That is, it allows creation of continuous variables, and inconvenient in a way that it requires validation. Semi-open questions is that it has a possibility to create another answer. It has an advantage of that it leaves the door open to unplanned answers, and it is inconvenient because it is difficult to analyze. Formulating questions, it's because we write short and precise questions, which is full and complete phrases. It avoids ambiguities. It uses simple words of everyday language. It avoids negatives and double negatives. And during formulating question, you have to keep in mind that you have to ask only one question at a time. You have to be very specific, and we have to use a neutral tone to avoid influence. And sorting the order of question, it should be sorted out like simple to complicated, general to specific, casual to intimate, group together questions related to same topic, identification questions at the beginning or at the end, in chronological order if questions related to sequence of events. And introduce simple questions as a break if the questionnaire is complicated. and triangulate through the multiple questions on the same topic if the subject is important. Now, the layout of the data tool is that you have to split out the sections, space out the questions, use larger fonts, align answers or codes on the right hand side, number all the questions, do not quit questions across the pages, use a vertical format for close end responses. You have to standardize your code and use auto coding procedures. Finalizing the data collection tool, you have to make a checklist of the instrument against which the objective is planned, reviewing the instruments, who and all should review the instruments, that should be a plan, and the language of the instrument like translation, coding, that and all will be the language of the instrument. So pilot testing of the data collection is that check that the instrument is clear, understandable, acceptable, check for the flow and skip pattern, check the pertinence of coding, estimate the time needed to ask all the questions, pilot test with a few volunteers like persons similar to the study population, persons who are not to be included in the study. Now this is how you have to design the health research tools, like how you will measure the concept, relate it to the study design, match the scale of measures to analysis plan, ensure the reliability and validity of the measures, choose most appropriate method for data collection, tailor the methods to the study participants, and decide how best to ask the actual questions. Thank you. Our next discussion will be on the principles of data collection.